Welcome back, everybody, to the Gears Pro League. We're heading into our second series, and it's going to be a great one. I know even whenever it came to your predictions, they were split down the line. I can't wait to see who ends up winning that one. Hey, man, I'm Taylor Reflections Double, joined by Jacob MVPR. It's going to be Elevate and Rebel. Who do you think's going to, well, I'm not going to ask you who's going to take this one. What do you think about the series as a whole, man? Let me slow down a little bit. What do you think about this series coming up?
I mean, if you looked at my power rankings, I think this is going to be a pretty close series. One that honestly going into, I'm not going to spoil it, but it was hard to predict. You have two very, very similar teams that kind of have very similar stories per se that are battling it out, and they're almost middle of the pack. This is going to be something that I think we talk about, those middle season style matchups that can kind of go either way. This is happening early on in the season. This is almost a must win for both of these guys.
Must win. Honestly, fair enough. It truthfully is. And I think for Rebel and Elevate, this match means a lot because you have one team that, has been doing fairly well, or at least did fairly well during phase one. But heading into phase two, Elevate, there's a lot of questions. Will they continue to be able to perform? Their mid-split playoff, I know they didn't finish where they wanted to be. Rebel definitely didn't finish where they wanted to be. But week one for Rebel was pretty decent. They beat Rise. I mean, a lot of people were counting against them, including myself, but they proved us wrong and they look good, but still made some mistakes. But one of the players, of course, we have to watch out for has to be Crack, man. Crack has just been performing incredibly well as of recently, and you look at his stats, and I'm loving it. 2.33 KDA, plus 21 plus or minus. You don't see that. Seriously, I mean, honestly, if you're like -10, if you're -9, like our Bollocks was previous, like that's still good. But to be in the positive is even better. And then, of course, 33.94% of team kills and a 70% even true engagement success. He's got a little bit of everything, Jacob, and it's just a pleasure to watch him play week in and week out.
Yeah, I think some people might forget that he was a part of that Pittsburgh Knights roster that was in that grand finals, one step away from setting history on the side of Latin America. He finds himself now on Rebel. He still has a star-studded lineup along with him. He's talking about those consistency issues that they've been having as a full-on roster. I think Crack is looking to put an end to those inconsistency issues. Of recent weeks, he's been on another level when it comes to slaying, when it comes to being clutch for his team and drawing enemies to him, which buys enough time for the rest of his team to either get in position, help him out, do whatever is needed for their roster. And you can already see it. They're having a good start to this season. They just need to be able to hold on to that momentum that they've been building.
Yeah, Crack has definitely had his shortcomings. We've seen him, mess up a couple of big plays, specifically whenever, we're going into round 9 and he needs to clutch up, hit a drop shot, But for the most part, though, I think in phase 2, again, last week, I was very impressed. He was leading the troops and definitely looking very well. A lot of guys have been asking or saying, I know I've even found myself saying this, is Crack and Identivez on the same page? Are they able to, make some magic happen like they, once were? Well, maybe they've definitely had their shortcomings again, both of them. But I think overall, fresh start again. This is definitely making them feel more confident. They just need to close out those series. That's the big thing that they've always struggled with, closing out. We always knew they were talented, but they just couldn't close it out. Babe, let's go ahead and move into our first, let's talk about our pick and bans, man. Let's see what, overall maps are going to be. In Asylum to start us off with, fair enough. Elevate has always loved Asylum, Jacob. That's kind of always been one of the maps that they just enjoy. And Foundation for Rebel, I like it too. But then again, Elevate, it's kind of been hit or miss on Foundation and District to tie it off. I'm going to be honest with you. This is looking like a close series.
It definitely is. I'm liking maps Asylum and Districts 1 and 3 overall for this series. I think they're very well balanced map for both of these teams. I talked about early on about their similar playstyles, but Foundation, I think you hit the nail on the head about Elevate there. They're a little inconsistent, and you've already seen a lot of teams, particularly E United, they know how to set the tone and set the pace against some of these teams. And Rebel, the way they've been playing recently, I know they have inconsistency issues, but they continue to play as good as they've been playing recently. They are the team that is usually looking to first to make that move, to be the first one on the field, the first one in the center of the map, trying to catch a player off guard. No matter what, they're going to be looking to take that charge. And on a map like Foundation, especially towards the middle of the map, whether you're going from B or going from middle on the first half or statue or middle on the second half, I think being the first one to act, the first one to take that positioning is so important. Obviously, got to make sure and I want not to take too much damage and not to go down. But once you solidify that positioning and you're able to kind of use it to make those moves, it opens up options whether you overextend on one side of the map or push through the middle. It makes the other team continuously guess, and you can use that to your advantage because you can throw some fakes at them, get them to overextend, put 1-2 members on the other side of the map, and then that's when you can use that moment to attack because you'll be there first because you have control of the middle.
And one thing, the reason why I specifically said it's going to be close is I think Elevate is a great team on Asylum. For me, Rebel has some shortcomings there. I don't expect them to be as strong on Asylum as Elevate will be. I just think they're a bit more consistent. But then again, Rebel has a lot of great plays there. Foundation, as you just mentioned, of course, you broke that down like a shotgun, as Colin likes to say. But when you go to District, you have Elevate, who is, you remember Midswip playoffs, they were so close against VQ. That was the elimination match in loser bracket, and I think it came down to around that, if not mistaken. Shock was popping up, and VQ was able to lock it in towards the tail end of it. Maybe it ended in 5-3. But then you also have Rebel 2, who's had some shortcomings on that map, where Crack making some mistakes, misplacing a drop, misplacing a shock. So for me, that's a back and forth map, and I think both teams have had times where they look very scary there. So map 3 is, honestly, I can almost guarantee it. It's going to be coming around the corner. My prediction, though, who am I going with? This was a tough one, and I was split down the middle, but ultimately I decided to go with Elevate. And I think that's a fair choice. I really do. And again, I go back to their performance during mid-split playoffs. I know they weren't particularly happy with making it as far as they did with VQ defeating them, but they still look pretty solid. And they also played against the United, who's been looking great in a previous E-Days. I'm not talking about the Execution 2.0, but when they were playing Escalation, and they looked great. Therefore, I think they truly have what it takes to beat this Rebel roster, despite them looking much better than they have in the past. But who are you going with?
I'm going with Execution 2.0. Oh, wrong stream, wrong podcast. Sorry, I was just excited. You mentioned it. I had to throw it in there one time. I was just happy, excited to see that game up. Honestly,
threw me off.
I like how you went for Elevate there. I honestly, it's very hard to bet against Shock, especially how consistent he usually is. And we're talking about consistency being a vital factor into this one. DeToX as well, big slaying powerhouse. But honestly, Crack and Demon. I didn't even say Identivez. Crack and Demon. I woke up today thinking about predictions, and they're just two names that they just keep popping in my head over and over and over. I think these two guys are going to have a fantastic day today. I think Crack is going to go on a tear in some of these maps, probably the first one when it comes to eliminations and making those plays. I just hope the rest of Rebel can follow up onto that. And because of that, I do think Rebel is going to take this series 2-0, 2-1. I don't know, because Foundation is a big question mark to me, but I do think it's going to be Rebel all the way.
All right, fair enough. Look, we've seen Foundation be played great from Rebel. Identivez being that main player to push rushies. That was one of the biggest maps that ended up being the downfall for Rise in week number 1 and gave Rebel to win. So that's a fair assessment. Chat, who are you going with, though? From what I was hearing from production, it was pretty split. It was very, very close. Are you going with me? Or are you going with Jacob? Again, both of those are fair
Latin
picks,
America.
Man. I know they're Latin America, but they're also smart too. Who are they going to go with? That's the thing. Are they just going with Latin America?
We'll see if they're smart. Hold on.
Well, I'm not starting a fight, Jacob. Don't say it like that.
No, they're not.
Smart.
Get them out of here.
What do you mean? No, they're not. Yes, they are. They're intelligent. Five head. Smooth brain over here. 5 head. Over there, okay? I like it, Twitch chat. At least right now we can see eye to eye, okay? But I know a lot of you are scared about that, because any team I go with, I know you guys really don't like that, because you're like, oh, the team he goes with, the other team wins. Fair enough. I'm still leading the charge. Now 7, 9, 8, 8, 9. Math is hard. But hey, it's going to be a good series either way, Jacob. I'm really excited. So let's break it down a little bit more, okay? Let's head into Asylum, right? It's map number 1. What are you thinking? What are you thinking? Because again, I talked about how good Elevate is there, but Rebel has had great moments on Asylum too. So who are the influencing players to watch out for heading into Asylum?
I think, obviously, I kind of mentioned the ones on Rebel. I think it's going to be Demon and Crack. Crack for obvious reasons, but Demon, he figures out a way to get multi-kills, to come up clutch, to win those exchanges. He obviously always somehow gets outshined by Identivez and Crack, but he's always there. He's a very consistent player. On the side of Elevate, though, I'm going to go ahead and say it. I think Tidy is going to be a huge X factor for Elevate, even though I did mention Shock and DeToX. And then I think Shock, obvious reasons. So I think it's going to be Shock and Tidy versus Demon and Crack in terms of making those plays, making those rotations, coming up clutch, doing everything that you need to do, not necessarily those big shotgun plays that a lot of people kind of just look for in this game. So on a map like Asylum, those pistols are going to go down. The map's going to be like a 2-1-1, but those player in the middle is going to have that opportunity here to try to hop over the middle, to try to get that Lancer shots. And those little bit of Lancer shots, I'm going to go ahead and say it makes Taylor's word possible chunkable, where it's 1%, 2%, 3%. It really makes the difference in those shotgun battles.
So at this point in time, you might be thinking, why do we continue to talk? Why is Jacob and Taylor just being the talking heads? I know you love our podcast. I know you truthfully do. Hey, we love these segments, man. We can talk all day, okay? But we are waiting for the teams, and I think the team we were waiting on was Rebel. So I'm looking at you, Ink. What's going on? You guys just last-minute strategies, last minute figuring it out. Fair enough. Look, if you guys win, it all works out, but don't torch the time, ladies and gentlemen, okay? Don't torch the time, Rebel. It is starting, though. You love to see it. And the podcast is shortly about to be over until the next one, right? Whenever we're heading in from map 1 to map number 2. Okay, then we'll be back. It's going to be a good match. It truthfully is. You mentioned, though, Shock and Tidy, against maybe Demon and Crack. And fair enough. Demon is just such a he's just a raw player, man. Right? He's so good. He can just slay out. I love him being on this Rebel roster. It's all about honing him in, though, because he's relatively young, So that's up to, dominant figureheads like, whether it be Kardia or whether it be Identivez, of course, just to kind of bring them in. I think that's the biggest thing. Rebel just has so much raw talent. I think that's why we were so mad when they were losing in phase 1.
Yeah, I'm honestly, though, going to be looking at Kardia as well. He's a big part of this squad. Everybody on Rebel have to be on the same page. That's one of the things we talked about with Identivez and Crack. Are they on the same page? How are they working together? Flash going out from Shock. It wasn't even to attack Identivez. It was trying to get that kill on towards Kardia in the middle, but he gets first blood, taking out DeToX, leaving Shock all by himself. And Shock, he's not giving up any damage. Wow, big shots, simultaneous shots coming out from both Identivez and Kardia, and that's going to get that early footing on the neutral. So now that momentum is going to be shifted, forcing the plays to be made by Elevate. Demise going down, and hopefully something can be won by Elevate. Tidy, that player to watch. He's going to have to do something here.
I'm going to definitely have to do something. You mentioned him. Is he going to be able to clutch up in this moment? Crack is a tough player to go against. You've seen his plus or minus. You've seen his stats. And Tidy's just going to get the down, eventually back up. Shock, though, is going to drop Kardia. Fair enough. Tidy, though, big spot, not going to happen. Well, hold up a second. Does get the cleanup on the Crack. Still alive. Identivez in the corner. Oh, no. Demise ends up falling, too. And Identivez clutches up. He was doing such a good job on Foundation versus Rushies in week number 1. And the Streets fight is going to benefit him much the same. Unfortunately, he will get Lancered out. Shock actually is... Hold up a second. Shock looks like he's going to be on a bit of a flank.
Yep. He got that decap to come through, buying time, but nobody else on his team really in position. He forced 3 members back to deal with him. And this is where you kind of see the extension coming through. The train, and not the right train. Honestly, if that was the other train, that would have got all the time in the world over towards Elevate. But the players did get in position early down on Crack, but Identivez trying to be as sneaky as possible. The Wolfpack scenario for Rebel is there, but the eliminations being picked up by Elevate, DeToX, Tidy, Demise, all doing their part here. 3 players dead for Elevate, and the Swarm for the triple cap is on, but Demon doing all he can to be the hero his team needs. He's buying the time, getting some eliminations, finally going down, but it's not a triple cap domination. The round is still going as you see Rebel doing everything they can to fight back.
Fight back they must. I already know Elevate or Rebel at this point doesn't want to lose round 1. Come on, to take your opponent's map pick has to feel great overall. And but still a lot of work to be done without question. 30 seconds, Elevate's going to take the win. So this next fight is going to be absolutely everything for Rebel, and that's going to be a solid push onto B. Tidy's going to be forced back. The hill will be broken. Identivez, though, going straight in. Tidy is down, and he's going to go ahead and full send it over towards Charlie. But Elevate, though, unfortunately for Rebel, will win the fight on Streets and go for the overextension. That's going to keep the 2-0 hill count because no one stayed back to get onto B. And unfortunately, Rebel made the right move. They truthfully did. Identivez going for the overextension, but he needed his teammates to win the fight on Streets. They didn't. But even so, Demon fighting it out, picks up one, can't get the second. Kardia now going through, trying to take down DeToX. He can't get away. Charlie's going to be recapped once again, and Kardia must get a break right here, right now.
Kardia saw that player over there, trying to get the X angle to try to make sure nobody slips through. And honestly, great plays, great holds coming through, and that's that player Tidy holding on to that angle. That was the player Kardia saw over the cover to where he flashed towards the hill. It didn't look like he was going to try to attack him, but the flash did not stun the players, so there was all Lancers all the way from Elevate into the later portions of that round. And honestly, it started with Shock. He was that player you mentioned. He was across enemy lines. He got the decap to come through, and he pressed forward into the spawn. That forced 3 members from Rebel to worry about him. So they were unable to attack down low towards the neutral hill. They were unable to overstack the home hill of Elevate to keep themselves in the lead. So great heads up play by Shock.
A great heads up play indeed. And again, taking that 1-0 lead, this is important for them because we know Foundation can be very shaky, right? This is almost, I shouldn't say a must win. It's truthfully not. Who knows? Elevate could have learned from their previous mistakes and go into Foundation and absolutely love the map, love their positioning, right? But you know they're going to be feeling a lot more comfortable if they can win their map pick here on Asylum. Identivez as well as Shocker can pick up the DeToX. They're, of course, going to be fighting over on tracks. And DeToX versus DeToX right across from each other. Shock versus Identivez. And Identivez going to go and back up. Shock looks to push up a little bit. He's going to get some early damage. DeToX, though, is looking to go for the great big push. And as Identivez will back off, now DeToX going to be the tough spot. He's going to be tagged up. He's now going to be dropped. Now it's up to Shock to go big. He can. He's already down. They bleed out. Track's fight is going to be won. And does Rebel commit a little bit more for the overextension? They might. Crack is going for it.
Crack just wants this positioning. He knows there's going to be a player in the middle to try to at least get a little bit of damage on Demise. He's going to escape. Demon goes down, and that allows the overextension for Tidy to come through. He's not going to get the break just yet. He wants to try to catch somebody off guard, get an elimination, buy some time for his teammates to rotate over. And you can kind of see it. Demise rotates over. Not enough to save Tidy, but enough to get that elimination. Down's coming through. Kardia cleans that one up. And ever since that opening initial, it was Kardia fighting that fight versus Shock, but it was Crack who played the center of the map that got the crucial Lancer shots that got the initial down on the Shock on tracks. And since then, it's been Rebel winning these exchanges time after time again. Even the ones that they don't win, they don't necessarily lose because they're trading equal towards Elevate. And already 2 hills under their control. The tracks are going to be, the train's going to go ahead and expose the tracks again, but it's on the wrong side. So Rebel, they're going to have to stay on this side of the map to make sure the defense comes through.
And they're trying to just get numbers. You can see them shifting, and whether it be through Pavilion or through just on the other side of tracks, they're kind of filling out where Elevate chooses to go. We could see Elevate make a 2-2 split push. And I think they feel that's going to be their win condition. And quite honestly, it really is, because Rebel has such a commanding lead. So this is a all or nothing moment for them. And Crack is a must player you need to down and take out. DeToX handles his business and is successful in doing so. Bravo's going to be retaken, but of course, more work needs to be done. They have to get on to Charlie. DeToX forcing Identivez back. Identivez looking to pick up a big elimination. Shotgo's going to be there to blindside. Identivez goes for a final push on DeToX. Not going to be successful. Crack now trying to hold his own. DeToX in Shock's hand. Now, Crack is going to go for the challenge on Shock. He's going to be successful winning that. But of course, we have to focus on that Charlie Hill. Looks like that is going to finally be won by Elevate, but because the 1v was won by Crack, he should be able to get the break over onto B. But of course, still work to be done. Crack is going to drop off, and it looks like Elevate is flipping the script. Are they going to be able to lock in the domination? Surely they can.
Yes, they are. And barring any miracles, he's going to have to get a double kill. Kardia gets none. Another opportunity coming through from Demon. He doesn't even get into the doors before getting taken down. And Elevate at the very ending portion of this match, able to hold on, able to push through and solidify this round. That is a big momentum shifter right there, because you saw it. It was led by Rebel. They had the portion of that one in the bag. They were just unable to close it out.
And you know what? That push, that split push, the 2v2 on entrance, or the 2-man push on entrance, the 2-man push on track, simultaneously going down, needed to happen. They allowed Rebel, and speaking in terms of Elevate allowed Rebel to get that decent sized lead. They understood this 2-man push on both sides of the map was a do or die moment. If they fell, fair enough. They were already losing anyways because of the points, how far they were behind. So they sacrificed everything. They put it all in on the table, and they ended up finding a royal flush in the end. Very well done from Elevate. And again, like you mentioned, that has to hurt Rebel. To have that lead now and to have it taken away, it's a demoralizing feeling. It truly is. So we need to see a little bit more from Rebel. And again, one of the things I've been commenting on, Rebel is a great team. They are phenomenal off the starts, much like other Latin American teams like Pittsburgh Knights, fire and ice. But closing out the rounds is where they struggle. Closing out the series is where they struggle. And we're starting to see a little bit of that right here, right now. After all, though, they are going for the domination. Jacob, can they do it?
It's going to be an early domination to come through. Crack doesn't even go for the shot there, but defense there. Kardia gets one. Demon and Kardia working together. That's going to be another elimination. 2 more players they have to go through. Tidy's going to be one of them. He gets taken out. Kardia nailed himself a double kill. Shock's going to be away from the hill. He gets taken out. And honestly, I'm very proud of Rebel here in this round. Looking unfazed and under a minute, able to answer back. But man, could this have been a different series? It could be 2-1 in favor of Rebel. They could be riding on a high, confidence through the roof. It's just about elevate. Got to be able to answer back, wipe that one off, and continue to propel yourself forward. You still have the lead. And when it comes to your weapon selection on the side as well, you're kind of balanced. So any big weapon coming down from Rebel, you'll be ready to answer.
One thing that Rebel is doing that I like is their aggression on tracks. They're not allowing the traditional setups to take place for Elevate. They're applying that pressure early on, and Elevate's having to think quickly on their feet, and they're forced to fight. And I think for, Identivez and co, who kind of goes down to that position for Rebel, feel very comfortable. And, obviously Kardia being there too, being able to lay down that fire is just great. The retros now being on tracks is going to make that aggressive push even more devastating if Rebel decides to go forward with it. But smoke is going to be out. And I think that means they're going to go ahead and push forward, and is. So Elevate's going to push in, but we've seen a lot of action on the underpass. But there's Rebel with Kardia. Kardia's going to take that one. DeToX will fall as well. So again, that tracks fight. Kardia and Identivez have been rocking it. They've been looking so solid.
Those are the 2 players I honestly didn't even mention on the side of Rebel. I mentioned Crack and Demon. And that's what makes some of these rosters so dangerous. Almost any player can fire off at a moment's notice, depending on the match, depending on how the team is doing. Great Lancer Fire comes through from Elevate, but the shotgun, the wolf pack, the chemistry is shining bright from Rebel as they close another round out, and they tie it up 2 rounds apiece going into the half. And this is what we talked about. One of the big struggles for Rebel isn't their mid game, isn't their initials. Heck, it's not even their individuals. It's simply closing out these rounds, and 2 rounds in a row, they put it together.
Yeah, very well done. And again, they understand their strong suit. They don't want the rounds to be extended. They don't want Elevate to have an opportunity to breathe, to think through what their next game plan is going to be. The quicker Rebel can close out these rounds, the better off they are going to be, because again, it plays into their strong suit, which of course is the initial. Without question, though, Tidy and Shock need to figure it out. That tracks fight has not been going the way. Kardia and Identivez, they got their number, plain and simple. And without an adjustment, we could be seeing Elevate take a pretty hard loss overall. Of course, even switching back over onto Street's going to be a bit of a different fight. But again, you still have Identivez and Kardia to deal with, and their shot's been hitting great. Shock is going to be out. Elevate should be able to take the early lead, but with that down on Demise, DeToX can't comfortably push up.
Now that the shock grenades, those utilities are out of the way, it kind of stepped down to Flash and making sure you're hitting the shots in the correct manner. Demon goes down. Lots of support coming through from Elevate. Nobody able to get the elimination, but it's Identivez who finds a way to strike first. DeToX even it up, bouncing around. Crack and Demon, that duo I talked about, shining bright, able to get another elimination. They're going to solidify that hill. Great distraction from Kardia to separate Shock from the rest of his team. But Shock knows his teammates are there. Great damage being put out for a Demon, though. That is going to be the hammer burst in action, and my God, it looks scary right now. Stopping Elevate in their tracks. Well placed smoke grenade from the top as well. A shot going down. Demise going down. Rebel holding on to their defenses on this neutral hill.
And you mentioned how scary the Hammerburst was looking. Demon was just peppering the boys of Elevate as they pushed forward. That allowed Crack to confidently push up, get the chunks, get the last bit of damage in, and naturally put Rebel where they are currently at, going once again for another domination. Elevate struggling to find an answer, and again, Rebel playing into their strong suits, winning those strong initials, and looking solid. Gotta say, man, Rebel, they may have not looked good after rounds 1 and 2, but 3, 4, and 5, they're looking unstoppable.
Yep, and this is what looks scary if you're a team that's in Elevate shoes, because you're stealing rounds away. It's still not looking good. You're making the correct moves. It's not looking good. This team is just on fire right now on the side of Rebel. And that's one of these things that we kind of talked about. You know, those matchups with Rise, with United, those upper echelon style matchups, you know, those teams have lost time and time again in the first split, but now you can see United and these teams, they're beginning to put it together. Rebel right before our very eyes. Those matchups for last split where it would kind of go against them. They weren't able to chain together, almost facing relegation. They took that mid-split playoffs as a learning lesson. They're adapting it into their gameplay, almost like a new look Rebel.
Absolutely. New look Rebel, best way to put it. At this point, Torquebo is down. Tidy has it in his hands, but can't get away. Question mark. DeToX can't get the pickup. Finally, he does. You see that he was stunned, but again, the aggression from Rebel is unparalleled. They are taking the fight to Elevate, and they are suffocating the boys of Elevate, without question. Rebel is looking so good. Demise now tough spot, 1vx situation. He tries to break away, goes for any challenge he can. It's not going to happen. And once again, Rebel is looking to go in for a domination.
I like what Danny's doing too. He realized there's multiple members up. He doesn't have the reinforcement needed, and he repositioned himself. Unfortunately, his teammate does go down, but an instant revive. Eliminations coming through, and nobody is getting past right now. Tidy goes down. Demise just spawns up, and now he's back on a respawn as Rebel, the full roster, as Colin would say, having a house party in Elevate's own home to solidify that round. That is 4 straight rounds for Rebel. They're looking hot.
Yeah, they're looking amazing. I mean, they are truthfully looking amazing, unstoppable. In fact, we've already seen the Torquebo place to Pavilion, Elevate throughout that Hail Mary, but again, they couldn't even get away, but they even have a chance to use the Torquebo once because the aggression from Rebel pushed them all the way back to their own spawn. So what's the answer? What does Elevate do in return? Well, they have the retro, they have the shock. Fair enough, that could change up things, but there's also an instant for Rebel, and I expect that instant to weigh very heavily on the minds of Elevate off the rip. Identivez is going to go ahead and have that. That instant kill potential is going to be great because if Elevate pushes in confidently onto the Torque, they may get their hands on it, but if Identivez can collapse with the instant, it should be all for nothing. Instant's out. Shock might be a next victim, and it looks like it's going to get some hit markers, but Identivez can't get the finish. Torquebo's going to be picked up by DeToX. Quickly in pursuit, though, is going to be the boys of Rebel, and DeToX barely gets away. So Rebel gets the 2-1, Jacob, but Elevate has to figure out a way to retake control. The Torquebo should help.
Definitely should help, and that is a good way to start off the Torquebo usage. Get that kill on to Kardia. Goes for number 2. Blind fires. Takes out Demon as well. 2 quick kills coming through from DeToX. And honestly, that was one of the biggest fears. It looked too easy for DeToX to go in and get out with that Torquebo. And you can give up the position with it if you're Elevate, knowing that you're going to get it in your hands, backtrack, and use it to get these eliminations, to get the positioning. Now DeToX is going to go for some splash damage here. He missed the Torquebo on the floor, maybe trying to go for a connect on one of his other members waiting there. But this is where it gets important. DeToX needs to find a way to stay alive here. He actually does go down. Opportunity for the Torquebo to get out of play. Revives there for the teammates, and Rebel, they're able to get the break to come through, but unable to save their teammate Kardia. So even though they did everything they could to try to turn the tide, Elevate still have the upper hand here.
They definitely do, and they're going to need to take control once again to just close out that deficit. It's not by much, but of course it can grow. Rebel continues to stay in the lead, so E is going to be captured, and of course the new Torquebo has to be up for discussion. It should be coming up relatively soon, you would have to think, and as I look, yeah, it's going to be in 30 seconds, so I know they're going to be weighing heavily on the minds of the boys here playing. Good connection though onto DeToX. Rebel now pushing Elevate all the way back. They can't stop him. E's going to be gathered, but I think the biggest thing now, you have to focus on just not allowing them to go for the overextension, and like I said, 15 seconds, new Torquebo is up.
Yep. But not allowing him to go for the overextension. You see Shock bottom half of your mini map. He's toying with it. He's toying with it. He's going to get that positioning in towards the middle. So he has that possibility of a cross towards upwards. So Identivez needs to keep him on his toes. Don't let him think anything is going to go for free. On the other side, this is a 3v3 going down, but it's actually Kardia. He's trying to make a move. They solidify that elimination onto Shock. They already have a 30-point lead as well. This is a big opportunity for Rebel to close off this map.
Oh, he misses the shot, but even so, the teamwork from Demon will drop Tidy. And again, that Torquebo now heading over towards Rebel. And if things weren't scary enough for Elevate, they are absolutely scary. Now, Crack understands this positioning that he's in. It's over with. Rebel's going to take the victory on Elevate's map pick on Asylum, 5-2. They're on fire.
Yeah, that is going to be a big victory coming out from Rebel, and you see it towards the ending portions of that game. You see them faltering early, making mistakes, and they tighten things up. They worked as a team. They wolfpacked together. They got very crucial eliminations, and to the very end, in stalemate scenarios, you saw Shock being a little bit too aggressive. Kardia saw that as a big shoot me sign on his back. He went towards the middle, got that elimination, and then from there, the rest of Elevate was just staggered around. They weren't able to use their teamwork, And that was a big part of why Rebel was able to capitalize.
Yeah, the initials were unparalleled. Again, Shock and Tidy could not stop Identivez and Kardia on the tracks fight. They just, bottom line period, couldn't. Maybe off of the first couple of rounds, fair. Well, no, not even off the first couple of rounds. Despite them losing, you remember, that was because of some phenomenal late game pushes that ended in a wave of domination for Elevate. So off the start, Rebel, their initials were just unmatched, without question, bottom line period. Elevate's got to pick it up. They truthfully do. Every team fight that I was looking at, Rebel was just capitalizing in every which way. And we talk about the downfalls from whenever it comes to Foundation for Elevate, and that's a map they're heading into, Jacob. That's the reality of it. And if Elevate hasn't learned from their previous mistakes, if they don't find a way to deal with Identivez on streets as he goes for the overextension home hill to home hill, we could quickly be looking at a 2-0 and not necessarily an upset, but definitely. I know in phase 1, if Elevate and Rebel faced off against each other, we would all go with Elevate, But now it's a much different story because Rebel is looking like the team that they always should have been.
Yeah, something happened after that mid-split playoff. Some of these teams, I don't want to say they got complacent, but they got a little lackadaisy, as you would say. But other teams, man, that switch has flipped. They're beginning to tighten things up, make less and less mistakes. And as these games go on, you can kind of see them adapt. You can see them kind of back roll out of certain situations that you even said last split that some of these guys might be taking ill-advised. And that's why I always say you can be confident enough to take every fight, but you need to be smart enough to know which fights you take and which fights you shouldn't. I think Rebel did a great example of that. Multiple players backrolling, multiple players trying to get into a better position to use teamwork. Because you know what they say, teamwork makes the dream work.
Yes, sir. Teamwork makes the dream work. And in this case, it absolutely was the case. Foundation, map number 2. We talked about the shortcomings, of course, for Elevate. For Rebel, they've just, I don't know, like a fine wine. They just continue to get better and better on that map. I expect the mid push to be very instrumental. And I've already mentioned Identivez going for the OE from home hill to home hill. Demon is going to be a factor to deal with. You already know he's going to be on Pistons. He might even play around with pushing through mid. I don't expect him to do so. I expect him off the first half to just immediately go into that Pistons fight. But he's a force you have to be ready to deal with, man. And by the way, for that OE home hill to home hill, who's the single player? Who's the solo player to challenge Identivez?
I honestly don't even know who that is going to be, but they're gonna have their work cut out for them. But I really want both of these teams to take note because a lot of the success on this map doesn't necessarily come from a flash grenade push. It comes from, I think, 2 flashes, 2 smokes. They crowd out a lot of the space. And even though those players can shoot at them if they're marked and stuff, they're going to have to risk their lives to push up to either solidify those downs, solidify the kills, so on and so forth. So I want to see Elevate here. Elevate particularly switch up their strategy from what they're used to. They're kind of a passive team on Foundation. They play more towards into that I have cog. I don't have to make the move, but you can see it. Those moves are there, and you can easily be taken advantage of. Once you give up that positioning, it leaves the move up to the other team, whether they want to rotate back, they want to push forward, and you can kind of see it. They trade those shots back and forth just to get that player in the middle to back up, and then that's when they strike, whether they push forward with a rotation or backtrack to the other side of the map. And I want to see Elevate, man. I want to see them get aggressive. I want to see them get in your face. Figure out how to make those moves because teams have done it. They've set the blueprint. Now you need to remix it and put your little flavor on it, like Salt Bay would say. Just sprinkle that little
it on
Elevate
there, like
flavor,
Salt Bay, huh? Okay, fair enough. Give it that flavor, I want to see Elevate get aggressive. I truly do, but I also want to see them maybe you got to fight fire with fire. Maybe that is the right call, because again, they just were losing off the initials quick rounds on Asylum. And maybe you just have to, like I said, fight fire with fire, as you mentioned, push it aggressively and just get those critical kills off the rip of Rebel so you can set up defensively, where I feel personally Elevate is going to be the stronger team. I really do. If the rounds continue to go later, and let's say, past 150 point mark or whatever, and, Elevate is able to, strategically push forward, I think they're a better team than Rebel in those moments. I truthfully do. But Rebel, again, playing to their strong suits. But Asylum's a bit of a smaller map, right? Whenever it comes to Foundation, a bit bigger. So I don't expect Rebel to have those big explosive domination starts off the rip. They're going to be forced to play a bit more mid and late games and objective work in general.
Yeah, usually in the first round, you can try to make that play to try to push through and stick to your game plan and things that you practice. But it comes through, once you see those numbers off that initial, it has to be instantaneous. Everybody on the same page, what you're going to do, because then you allow them to get those early shots, whether it's on pistons on the ramp, middle on that ramp. So that way they can try to get that first player down, stagger the downs, and then go from there. Typically what you see a lot of the teams that have shown success getting those early pushes on the initial is they go ahead, they get their footing down mid-ramp, they get their footing in towards B, whether they take D or not, and then they use their utility, try to push forward and try to go as a full unit, because it's very important that both the B Pistons players and that player in towards the middle, they work together as if they're playing the same spot together. Because I talked about the smokes, I talked about the flashes. You need to be on the same page, because if one side uses their utility a little too early, that could cost them a plan that is honestly soundproof.
Well, hey, soundproof is what they need. I think that's the best strategy, right? Well, we are heading into the map, Jacob. Truthfully, we are. And you're looking pretty smart going with Rebel. I'm not going to lie. I'm getting a bit scared, not only for myself, but also Twitch chat. I truthfully am. And I don't know what other talent went with Elevate or went with Rebel, but I'll definitely be taking a peek, because I'm going to be pretty upset whenever I do fall and we end up being tied. I'm not going to lie, because this could be my downfall.
I need this.
You definitely, you know what, honestly, I think it's you and Colin, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's you and Colin who ended up going with, me, Blaze, the duo. We went with Elevate. Whatever, I'm sticking with my guns, man. It's not over with just yet. We have 2 more maps left, and this is going to be the start of the second. Let's see it again. Will Rebel be able to stick with those strong initials, or Elevate find an answer?
Right now, I'm already looking. I see some smoke, see some flashes on both sides, actually. Demon's going to be the first one to throw the smoke. I say, even though they can shoot at you, it's about being on the same page, and it's Elevate who are on the same page. Seeing this one coming from a mile away, get that early down, and even Identivez gets taken down. So a little bit of what looks like switched up positioning, but triple cap domination sounding off. Rebel, they have to figure out a way to prolong this round. Crack's going to get the touch, the reset on the capture, but instantly goes down. Lots of damage being gamed out to Demon. He goes the reset, but gets taken down as well. They need to figure out a way for the trades to come through, and Identivez, not even a chance given as Elevate in less than a minute strike first. They get that early aggression, taking out Demon, and propel themselves forward. I like what I'm seeing already.
Yeah, isolate Demon. That's the play to make. We talk about how nasty he is whenever he just plays gears in general. Identivez too. I think those are the 2 key players to silence. Demon and Pistons, Identivez on street. Take them down, take them out, and you are going to be that much closer to victory over these Rebel boys. Things continue like this, I guarantee you, we're going to see a statue placement coming up very shortly, and it's going to be a long shot. We already know Demon loves his Demon time with the long shot. He's just so deadly with it, without question. But here we are, round number 2. If you blinked, you missed round number 1, but hopefully we'll get a little bit more of a good look from the Rebel boys heading into this fresh start, and a big mid presence from Rebel. They're committing 2 players down low, and they even kept 1 up for the Lancer fire. 1 gets dropped off, but now Demise, he's in a tough spot, being pressured up by Demon. Big moment for him, picks up 1. Tidy's gonna be able to get the Lancer, and yeah, Identivez can't stay there. He's forced to retreat.
Where was the help? It looked like they're on different pages between Identivez and Demon. Now it's Identivez turning another 1v1. He takes his time, lands the initial damage, gets the kill. Shock takes out Kardia. So Identivez only help there, does get taken out, but he's on the other side of the map. They're going to have to deal with him sooner or later, but he needs to know that player that he eliminated is going to be that same player that gets the down on here in just a few short moments. Yes, it is going to be Demise, nailing that down to come through, taking his time, knowing that a potential for somebody to slip through is going to be there. But this is where Elevate, they got to use this man advantage with Identivez being taken out to push through, to try to get that neutral positioning, but 1 goes down, trade coming through, Tidy doing what he can. He's going to get that footing there, but reinforcements for both teams will be here in just a moment.
It looks like it's going to be 3v2 currently, and that's going to force Rebel all the way back. They're going to leave DeToX to go ahead and get that decap plus full cap in return. As long as Shock and his teammate doesn't bite off more than they can chew, they're going to retreat back, focus on the player coming from mid. That's Identivez. He's gone, and that's going to be a decent retake for Elevate, trailing behind by about 30 points behind Rebel, but even so, that's not a lot if you really think about it in the big scheme of things. Crack is going to be snubbed out. DeToX, great spacing and a decision to make, and he's made it. He's going in over towards A to keep that pressure up onto Rebel. I don't expect them to get the full cap here. Decap is fine, but the troops do come in and maybe hold up. Maybe he will be able to get the full cap. Demise made the play. DeToX obviously coming through mid. Very well done. Great adjustment, Jacob.
Yeah, being on the same page there was just massive for Elevate. And already you're seeing a new Elevate on this map. We talked about we wanted to see the aggression come through, and they're finding those holes. It's Rebel and the rest of their squad. They're taking that middle of the map first, but they are getting angled out. They're getting forced out. They're getting tossed around wherever Elevate wants. And you saw that was kind of a prolonged initial down there towards the middle where they were kind of fighting back for their home. And you saw it was Elevate. They pushed through. They immediately took control of down low and forced Rebel outside of that neutral. As long as they keep playing as the tip of the spear, as they keep going, be the first to make the move, and they're on the same page, I think they will continue to have this momentum in this style of game.
All right, here we are. Round number 3. Elevate looking to, man, just take that lead and run away from it unless Rebel can answer back. We've seen them have some strong starts, but I don't know, where's it at on Foundation? They've tried mid, they've tried the traditional B fight. Nothing has been working, so they're going to go back to the default 2v2 split. And Rebel's going to slowly move up for the time being. Shock obviously has a lot of pressure on him. He's going to have some company soon. Picking up one of these players here, getting the trade to be big, but he's forced to retreat. Now, Identivez is going to be able to have the cross, though. This is going to put Shock in a very bad positioning, and it's up to Demise to alleviate that pressure. He needs to push up eventually.
Yeah, but as you can see, almost every bit of utility down low was used, except for, I think, Tidy and Demise. So nobody down low really has that extra bit of utility. I would like to see have Demise try to rotate in towards close, try to get that extra ability, and you can attack in that 3v2 fashion, especially since Rebel is pressed up. But they're going to back up, and with that player going in towards the middle, it doesn't look like he's going to try to attack. Crack goes down. Hopefully the sacrifice is going to be worth it. They have to get this elimination onto Demise. They get the down, but there goes that player towards the top half of the map. He's able to get the down for himself, but Demon, he gets one, gets two, goes for a third onto Tidy, but he's there ready with his head on a swivel. Big down there for Demon, the rest of Rebel. One more player towards his backside, but they're going to have to use this to get the neutral down low. All this time, all these great moves being made, it's going to be all for nothing if they don't get control of these hills.
Oh, Demon did exactly what he needed to. But as you mentioned, it's all for nothing if you don't get control of the hill. They do get it, in fact, but now Elevate, they've got the numbers, but luckily Kardia has that retro, but it might be all for nothing if Shock manages to pull off a great move. There's 3 members here. Surely Kardia doesn't get a trade. Take him out, boys. What you doing? And finally, he will fall to the wayside, and that gives Elevate almost a free lane to push up towards Charlie. As safe free, of course, Demon is going to be there. He's fresh off the respawn, but it's just going to be so hard for him to take this 1v2, but he's going to have to. Elevate's going in for the domination, and things are starting to get scary for Rebel. You do have a 1v1 that's going to be down there on the neutral. That's going to be Identivez forcing the issue. Demon, though, is going to pick up one. Help from Crack will take out the second, and Rebel might be able to recover strongly here, but it seems as if Elevate are going to be sending their troops for the overextension. I hope they just don't go haywire. At this point, Rebel has a real chance to take this round.
That's right. I just wish I knew what the communication was. Rebel, they do so good. They get so many eliminations as DeToX. It's a massive back A to take out Kardia, but the rotations. Crack overextends towards the top half with the retro, and the rest of the team kind of stagger their lives and get taken out over towards the neutral. Identivez twice gets taken out by himself, overstaying his welcome, and just immediately Rebel kind of concede this round, let it slip through their fingers. Yeah, I want to give Elevate all the credit in the world for capitalizing on every mistake given them towards Rebel, but man, am I really disappointed. A team that started off hot in map number 1 lets another round slip through on Foundation.
And I think it's just a different look. You know, again, Asylum is a map that benefits aggressive pushes. If you can win that Trax fight off the rip, you can go in for the domination very early on, especially if your team is winning streets. And they were winning both of them, right? They were getting those early round dominations. Foundations doesn't play the same. And that's something I mentioned during our pre-talk, Jacob, and you agreed, right? It's just Foundation is a map where you can't, sometimes you can get quick dominations, but that's something you can't bank on every time. Rebel is forced to play the long game, and when they're forced to play the long game, of course, that's where Elevate starts to really thrive, and I knew that was going to be the case. And as I mentioned, a long shot is down. Demon is very comfortable with this weapon, and to be quite honest with you, this was something that was placed during their Rise matchup in week number 1, and once it was down, they didn't look back. Rebel actually started to improve, and this could be their chance to do so, but it's going to be a little bit different now because you're going against DeToX and Shock off the rip. These are 2 very different opponents other than Rise, and they love in-your-face fights, so this isn't going to be easy by any means.
It's definitely not going to be easy, but this is where I always try to pay attention to that center of the map. plus these players that are here up top, but it's going to be the Statue that's being fought over right now. DeToX gets taken out first by Demon. You can already see Rebel not wasting any time. They're trying to push forward. They know they have to go up against the red shots. They need to be careful. Big shots being fired out. Demon gets taken out, but Shock falls immediately after. So they're going to get this sniper. They don't get the hill just yet, so that is going to be the silver lining about that weapon going down across the map. But Identivez, man, your team is winning.
Oh, no.
You bite off what looks like more than you can chew, but somehow you get saved. Triple cap domination. Sound, you have 4 players dead on the side of Elevate is Rebel. They're going to win their first round, the last one as we go into the half. Elevate still are in the lead 3-1, but what a great round for Rebel.
Yeah, a phenomenal round. And again, forcing that engagement over on Statue is going to benefit Rebel. It truthfully is, because it keeps things pointed. You mentioned the communication. Maybe they're a little bit chaotic at the moment, or at least they were in those first 3 rounds before the long shot was placed. But now they feel at home. Now they have an objective to take. Of course, the objective is to get the hills in your name, right? But overall, fighting for that long shot forces Demon, forces Kardia, forces Kraken and Identivez to just now focus on one objective, and that is the long shot. And I think that's where they're going to be comfortable and be stronger, in my opinion. Elevate's going to have to be very cautious here, really think about how they want to go about this engagement, because Demon is going to be the factor on this fight.
Oh, that was a nice one right there to come through. DeToX, he did a lot of movement to dodge going down early on. Shock doing what he can. Throws that one over the cover. Gets the down onto Kardia, but doesn't watch his back close enough. Demon got there in the blink of an eye to save his teammates live. This is where I look at the mini-map to figure out who is where on the map. And the rest of Elevate kind of playing back. They don't use that fight on the other side of the map, use their numbers on the other side of the map, because it was kind of a 2-man going down. So they would have been met with 2 men of their own on defense from Rebel. They have some coming back to do, but with the power whip in the hands of Rebel, they can easily try to stop some of these moves being made. Oh my God, yep. Almost looked like he was going to headshot Crack there for a moment, but great shots coming through from Demon. And this is where now you know where Demon is at. You need to be very careful which moves you make. Shock here, he does look like he's going to be the target. Ooh, big shots being fired back. The miss on the sniper, but Shock, he had to make some quick shots happen, and not able to be as accurate as he wanted to.
And again, Demon is going to be that factor. Another head's going to roll.
My.
Great connection on a DeToX. He's now going to be trying to force the issue onto Tidy. Maybe even Demise on the other side of the map. It picks up the meat shield, but and I mean, he's just so good. He really is. And again, that is something that benefited them in their Rise matchup. And Elevate better have been taking notes. You cannot afford to give Demon the long shot. He's just too much of an X factor.
This is where Elevate, they need to be careful. The longer they take here and they let the score rack up the time, Rebel, even though they have 2 and they're going to get that second hill broken, they can easily try to snake to the other side of the map, sneak through just to keep 1 hill under their control. There goes the last bullet, unable to connect. Crack is down low in the middle by himself. Only Lancer Fire at the top of the ramp going to be the saving grace, and it does look like they're turtling back. They're trying to go save 1 hill, but if they get this kill onto DeToX, that's where they're going to extend forward. But Tidy goes out of nowhere, blindsides Identiv, and there goes the one last second push. Elevate gearing up for it. They have the instance. They have everybody funneled back. And this is going to be your last hope, your last chance to make this one come through.
This is a huge push. Last chance, as you just mentioned. If they can make this happen, sneak this round from Rebel, that should put the final nail in the coffin. And great pickup, though, from Identivez, and Demon. Shock still there, but it doesn't matter. He's only there for a short period of time, and Crack also picks him up. Look at that, Jacob, from Rebel. What a hold.
Man, that's actually looking good from Rebel to kind of answer back. And even though our back is up against the wall, we don't want to turn on to 1, because you saw they were fighting down low. And that's one thing that did come through. If Tidy wasn't there to save the day and DeToX does fall, they extend. They don't care about their home hill at that point. They extend because they know it's not over just yet. Elevate not only need to neutralize that hill, but they need to continue to backtrack for their home to neutralize the other. But see, the sniper's already down. Incense on both sides. So now it's going to be up to both teams to kind of build onto their home hill. DeToX, the red shows, and eventually those shock grenades. But we're going to be looking at this initial. Who takes that early move first? And so far in this second half, ever since that sniper went down, at least it's been Rebel.
Yeah, it definitely has been. And again, Shock and Tidy, where you at? You have to find an answer. You cannot allow these guys to take the fight to you every single time. It was the same thing that happened on Asylum, Jacob, on the Trax fight. They were losing it consistently off the initial, and you've already seen evidence before you how much of an X factor Demon can be. He'll take that early start off the rip, and so at this point, Elevate needs to kind of, isolate him, take him down using, honestly, just a well-placed instant. It's a lot harder said than done. Shock most likely going to use it on Kardia, but I'm using it on Demon. Honestly, you take him out, I don't trust Kardia to win this fight. I really don't.
Ooh, that's a big statement right there, but hard to see. A middle of the map pressure that I always talked about. Rebel, they're attacking. Shock's forced to rotate over. You see Demise backtracking up. Tidy, he took a lot of damage. Bold talk play coming out from Identivez. Great instant answered back from Shock. That's going to be a big kill, forcing that member of Rebel to backtrack. But guess what? Because of that Shock rotated, that opens up the neutral. You talk about Demon. Demon's attacking, able to get the down on one, unable to clean up the other. And there goes the reinforcements. Kardia is able to get both of those. He's letting one kind of bleed out. Needs to be careful that Shock doesn't get this revive. He gets the revive. What damage can be made right now? If Elevate somehow make water out of wine, this is going to be a big play opportunity. They're able to get one elimination. Shock, he's continuing this momentum, goes down, but Shock gets another one. He's continuing this pressure, gets the Lancer on the back of Crack. One more player trying to help, and there it goes. The nail being dealt in as Elevate get that neutral this late into the game. They're going to be able to hold on. Shock gets the sniper as well, so this time, instead of Elevate having to make the offensive move, he's in Rebel's hands yet again.
Yeah, absolutely. And now Rebel, this is going to be a true test. And I'm curious to see if they will pass. The opportunity to tie it up 3-3 is going to be massive, but to put Elevate at 4-2, it's still going to be scary for them without question. But man, they are starting to heat up. DeToX, great shot around the corner, though. Crack is going to answer back, and now he's going to be able to go through mid, maybe over towards E, pressure up through Statue. And at this point, Shock is going to have to be a big factor with the long shot. He needs to connect. Can he pull a Demon? Oh, good body shot, but it's not enough. He's full redded from the flank. Is Crack. Tiny, be careful.
That's all because they knew they got that +1. That early elimination that did come through onto DeToX, that allowed Crack to kind of do what he wanted. And as soon as Shock got spotted out by that player top catwalk, that's what he knew. He can go ahead and overextend and flank all the way through. Elevate does have the lead here, and this is going to be a decap situation for Demise. They must decap. Oh my God, Crack finds him from the mile away, gets the damage onto Tidy and the mark. That's a crucial mark too, because that information giving shows, hey, we might need to rotate around the map. We need to go ahead and tighten our defenses here. We have 40 seconds to overcome, but the win condition is within our grasp.
Absolutely. The win condition's in their grasp. 30 seconds. Elevate once again. They're the ones who have to push forward. And if you remember the past couple of rounds, when they're in this spot, they can't make it happen. So I have full faith in Rebel to be able to hold it down, but 2 missed shots from Crack. Tidy. Big elimination opportunity. Crack full red. Can he still get it? He can! Crack can do no wrong. Demise now, he's going to be isolated. But even so, Elevate does take the 2-1. But can they hold on to it? Elevate should still win this, but all the hills are being broken, and Rebel might slip it through. Even so, Shock, you got to get a touch. Go full sprint. You got to take no Demon.
And that touch is not going to be enough. You need to get that elimination to trade. Now it's up to Tidy. Too much pistol damage. He goes down away from the hill. They're going to stagger that death. Nice retro from Demon as well. Anybody going through, man's going to go through the blender. Backtrack, gets the back aid. And there you have it, Rebel. Find a way to complete the comeback and tie it up at 3 rounds apiece.
Wow. I mean, just wow. Well done from Crack. Picking up those big elims. Big 1v1 versus Tidy. Gets the kill over the cover full red. He had no business winning that engagement, yet he does. And then that isolates the player trying to dance around on Statue. He's gone. What is he going to do? He's being pinched. He's being snubbed out. Plus, he has a national right in front of his face. All he has to do is push forward, and of course, he's too weak to do so. Man, and then Demon picking up those big eliminations, because even so, even with the heroics of Rebel, if Demon doesn't hold that Fountain's Hill, he lets that slip through the cracks. Elevate just a hair away from taking the win. 1 hill would have been enough. Just barely, but it would have been enough. A lot of things needed to go right there, and they did. Rebel wins it. That's 3 in a row, as you just said. And why is it 3 in a row? Because the long shot, it makes the difference. And again, I keep saying it is the X factor alongside that of Demon.
You kind of said it. History repeats himself, man. They did it against Rise, doing it against Elevate here. Elevate had that early lead, but it's definitely been diminished here at this point. So already, we had talked about using that instant on Demon. Demon might sense that one coming. He's trying to get these players to waste the initial bit of their Lancer clip. That way he can try to push through with as much health as possible on towards that statue, because he's gonna have to fight for his life. As soon as he makes the move for that statue, his life is on the line every second here, because Elevate's gonna be looking to get this elimination. But over the top, gonna be a flash. He's going to get that positioning in towards the middle. We've already seen this play come through, and it looks like they're trying to do it yet again. Crack versus Demise to start off the fight. Reinforcements from both teams. Double down going through, and there goes the second down. Shock gets caught out of position. He goes down to the top of the ramp. DeToX is spotted out from a mile away, so nobody's gonna get caught off guard. He gets eliminated, and 4 players dead on the side of Elevate. This is surely going to be a triple cap domination, and Rebel one step ahead, one step away from closing out this series.
You have to ban, or excuse me, you have to disable the long shot. In my opinion, you truthfully do. Granted, though, you're still fighting for the neutral. You're still fighting for the neutral, but that fight, that pressure that Rebel is applying, or even honestly, frag center line would actually be okay, I think, just to kind of break up the fight, deviate the forces. But this fight, how it's been, clearly for the past 4 rounds, is not working for Elevate. You have to find an answer. And what is DeToX answer? You get rid of the ensigns? I don't think it's enough. I really don't.
I don't think only one play is the answer. It comes down to those rotations, the initial, how you're playing it with or without that instant in play, sniper in play. You're still going to have to go through the other team. You're still going to have to figure out how to make the first move. And right now, Rebel, win or lose, they're the team making a lot of these first moves. And early on, it was Elevate. So the tables have definitely been turned. Elevate playing a little bit more passive than they have in the first early rounds. But Rebel, they're playing as consistent as ever. Win or lose, it's their game plan that they are going to die or win by. So I like what I'm seeing so far, but this round is going to slow down just a little bit. But I say that, but Crack, every single round taking control of the center portion of the map, he needs to be careful here. This is not a good spot for him to be overextended in, because Shock can easily backtrack. He can go in the window, and they can try to take this 2v1 instantly. So hopefully Rebel is ready for that occasion to happen.
So Crack, big spot, like you said, tough spot. He's down, so that's going to open up Elevate to be able to push up through, actually through Pistons, I guess. Going for the OE. Kardia is going to be able to call out these numbers, and player 9 Identivez is going to be forced in a very, very tough spot. And when it comes to Foundation, it's a unique. Oh my, hold up! Oh, I picked up one. I was thinking, you know, honestly, there's always that chance Identivez can pull off a heroic play given his veteran status, but it's just not going to be the case here. But as I was saying, Foundation is one of those unique maps where holding home hill to home hill is a little bit more manageable than other maps, let's say, such as Asylum or District. Right? It's commonly done. It's because you're able to Lancer out whenever the teams start to push through. For example, Kardia. I mean, if he pushes in, he's going to be Lancered by DeToX. Of course, Demon's going to be able to help. It's just not that easy, but either way, it must happen, and you must try. And this is what Rebel's going to do.
They need to attack that right side of the map. They need to get in towards that cover to where they're able to sit on it and try to regain their health. And then that's going to put that pressure on that player that's Elevate that is on there. I do believe it was Tidy, to either go for the kill or to backtrack out. But because that player did go down early on, that was Identivez, that kind of staggers Rebel. They don't want to attack that hill just yet, but this is where they're going to send their numbers to the other side of the map and try to catch Elevate during a rotation. But they need to be careful. Demise versus Kardia here in the middle. It's just like 2 players. They're looking like they're going to go for a split push. Crack just feeling it out, trying to get the information necessary. And this is where Elevate, the defense is looking a little thin here.
Defense is looking thin, and you know what? That's not a good look with how explosive Rebel has been with pushing through the defensive setup of Elevate. Shock just goes into the blender. Unfortunate. Still, 1 hill should be enough, right? You have to think, and it will be, but just barely, Jacob, just barely. At this point, Elevate, I'm fine with them parking the bus, but that's going to be easier said than done. Demise has to get a trade here. It's not going to be easy. He's going to fall to the wayside. DeToX as well, and I hate to say it, Elevate fans. I hate to say it if you voted for him, but I think they just bit the bullet, and yes, they did. Rebel, phenomenal victory. 5-3, 5 in a row. A long shot. Hey, take notes, pro teams. Take notes. Do not allow Rebel to place the long shot down. Put a Markson there. I don't even know, but you can't give Demon the long shot. He's the X factor and the MVP there. Well done. 18-11 and 11. That's 2-0. Elevate. We'll see you later. There, take the L.
Yep, and you know, I move a little step closer. I think we might be tied now.
We're tied.
First place positioning. That's
this
all right.
is the downfall.
You still got the hide on
me.
your side, though.
Yeah, this is the downfall for me, man. I'm just, and that's why I trash talk so much at the beginning.
Tell these players, you can't get in your own head. You cannot get in your own head. This is where I get in my own head, and where I'm thinking, okay, maybe I should pick so and so because so. No, don't get in your own head. You're perfect. You're doing great so far. Especially like I said, a lot of us come from 50 years in the game right now. You're a little bit of fresh. You're gonna have those stumbles, those mistakes coming through. But honestly, you're on the right track. I'll be one to always give you the credit you deserve. Just like Rebel, man, you talked about that long shot going down. To me, combine that with the fact that Crack almost every single round, whether he was winning those exchanges or not, he was pushing in towards the middle. He's getting control of the middle. So that allowed Demon, when he did take that statue and he bit off more than he could chew, he gets weak and he has to run somewhere. He has that help in the middle. And then if Crack go ahead and starts that fight without him, he can go ahead and join the fight while he gets his health back running away and try to solidify that fight to give him that one-up advantage. Obviously, the play can be vice versa with Crack going ahead and rotating the other way around, but that wasn't needed because nobody from Elevate really was a threat on that statue side of the map.
No, nobody was a threat. And I must say, I'm putting a lot of attention on Shock and Tidy this time around. And the reason why, you mentioned how, I think at all points, you know, whether it be Blaze, whether it be, you know, yourself, Jacob, Colin, you guys are always hyping up Tidy and how he's just such a good player. And he truthfully is, but Rebel just truthfully outclassed. Let me narrow it down. Identivez and Demon really outclassed Shock and Tidy here on Foundation once that long shot was placed. There just was no competition. They were not able to beat them at any point in time, and that's quite disappointing to see. But it is what it is. You know, the better team ended up winning in the day. But you mentioned Demon, you mentioned Crack. His shot was just nasty. The fact that he missed his teammate's head is just, and that's why they're the best. You know, this is why we have the 12 best teams in the world compete week in and week out. It's just a beautiful thing. But well done. I mean, seriously, I can't speak highly enough about Rebel, Jacob.
This is the Rebel I thought I was going to see. Honestly, I really thought I was going to see this Rebel more often as well. The last phase that went through, but there's inconsistencies, man. But I tell you, time and time again, we see it. As split changes, the mid-split play. Honestly, I think mid-split playoffs was one of the most fantastic idea. It was a wake-up call for these teams. Ever since that was over, you see some of these teams that have struggled for inconsistencies. They've really stepped it up a lot. You got E United, you got this Rebel squad, you got Vanquish. Everybody has really been stepping it up since that mid-split playoff. That honestly, like I said, some may not think of it as a major, but whatever you want to call it, man, that is the moment that a lot of teams really flip that switch, and rightfully so. Rebel, they needed to flip that switch. That's too much talent on one roster to not be coming out with some of these wins.
Yeah, to not perform, you know, to have a phase one like they did, to even have a mid-split playoffs like they did, it's just not what needed to happen. Like, bottom line. And you know what? Better late than never. Honestly, I think that's the best saying for Rebel. You know, better late than never. But let's talk a little bit more about Elevate. I mean, what's going on? Because, you know, again, mid-split playoffs, we started seeing, you know, kind of decline. I know they were very disappointed in that VQ matchup. They didn't want to lose naturally. Who does? But Elevate, is this the beginning or the start of the downfall for them? Do you see them making a recovery? Where do you think they sit now in your power rankings?
Honestly, I don't think they're getting better or worse. Honestly, I think they're just
staying the same, stagnant.
I think I think they're not progressing. I think they're not really doing anything. I don't know what their practices is like, so I can't really comment on their practice, how they're practicing scrimmages, what they're doing. I don't have that type of insight. But when it comes to these pro league matches and things like that, it doesn't look like they're progressing. They're beating the teams they're supposed to be beating. They're having good fights against the teams that they should be having a good fights, but then they're getting beat up by the top teams as well. So Elevate right now, they need something on their side. Obviously, I can't be the one to tell them this unless, hey, Shock, anybody out there, you guys want to invite me to some scrims, let me know. I can give you guys more detail. But from what I see right now on paper at face value, they're just not making any moves right now. I'm not saying they're scared, but just for lack of a better words, it might seem like they're scared to lose the games instead of playing to win some of these games. Because in those early rounds on Foundation, it did look like they were getting aggressive. It did look like they were making the moves that they wanted to make, and they weren't afraid to press forward, right? But as Rebels started chaining together some of these rounds, coming up clutch, you saw it on their initials. Less and less moves, less and less risk. We'll use risk for this word. Less and less risk were being made by Elevate. And if you're scared to take risks, man, as Ryan would say in the casino, scared money don't make money. Elevate made no money here today because they were scared.
And that is a good way to put it. And you know, I'm not going to bring Twitter and all that into the play. I'm not going to single out anybody, but I have been seeing maybe some lack of confidence in some of the players on Elevate. And like I like to say, you know, these are the best players. I mean, at least those 4 on the roster. You guys are the best players in the world, clearly. You know, like, so make it happen. I fully believe and support the boys on Elevate, but they have to believe in themselves. That's the biggest thing for me. But hey, congratulations to Rebel. I mean, seriously, incredible performance, Inc. Congratulations to you and Rebel. I think as a whole organization, congratulations. I'm definitely going to be weighing a little bit more into my thought process whenever I see Rebel facing anybody at this point, because you guys are truly a contender looking scary.